Located in the walls of hollow organs. All right? Located in the walls of hollow organs, smooth muscle. So the next column says this. And what would be, let's write down what would be a hollow organ, like what? Let's write it over here. Because you have to know sample locations here. Like what? Stomach, perfect one. If it moves food, it's probably in the intestines, right? Blood vessels. Okay. The uterus. Anything urinary to move right now. You know that urine isn't moved just by gravity. Urine can be, if you're standing on your head, can you push urine to your bladder? Certainly you can. Every night you sleep, right? Don't you push urine to your bladder? You have to go to the bathroom when you get up, right? Okay. So any urinary, like urinary bladder, the ureters, all those ureters, sound like Red Dude, okay? The ureters or any one of those structures are ones that can push urine. So any one of those things. There's so many, so just remember your favorite one so that you can share one with me on the test, okay? Just remember any one of those that's easiest for you to remember, okay? And hollow organ, then what do you mean by a hollow organ? And you could give me one there. Okay, location. Next question. Is it involuntary or voluntary? Meaning, do you have control over it or do you not have control over it? Okay? So, do you have control over skeletal muscle?
Yes.
You do. You're writing with it right now. I'm talking with mine, right? I'm moving with mine. So yes, it's definitely voluntary. Okay? Let's go to that cardiac muscle question then. How about that? Are you in charge of causing your heart to beat 70 times a minute? Aren't you glad? Right? I mean, you just feel like, excuse me, I'm busy right now, right? I'm contracting, making sure that blood is pumping through my body. No, you don't have to do that, right? So that's involuntary. Okay? Involuntary. Good. How about that smooth muscle? Movement of urine, food. Do you have any control over that? All right? It's like your emotions can influence it, but right now are you having to push your food through your intestines going 20 feet or anything? No, you don't have to. Your dinner's just doing it all by itself, right? It's going all by itself. So it's also involuntary. Like for instance, you know, your uterus and having a baby. I don't think most women would probably have a choice to be able to go through those kind of labor pains. Yeah, it's kind of involuntary, probably on purpose, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's all involuntary. Okay, last question is cell differences. Cell differences. How do the cells look? And let me draw them for you over here. And it's so easy once I draw it for you, you'll just get it, and you'll also get the pictures that I have to show you tonight. So the first one I want to show you is, it's a very long cylindrical cell. A very long cylindrical cell, and it has those on it. What do those look like? Say it doesn't look like stripes. That's a perfect way to start the word. Just say stripes, and then you'll get, that's not the full word, but stripes will start you. They are called striations. Those are the stripes. And then, what are those inside the cell? What's it? Anytime I draw a cell, we always draw one of those inside. What's that?
Nucleus.
Excellent. How many does it happen to have? 4. Has 4 in it, so does that make it binucleate or multinucleate or uninucleate? Multinucleate. Excellent. So there's a skeletal muscle cell right there. It's multinucleate. It has striations. Okay? And this is a skeletal muscle cell. Okay? That's a skeletal muscle cell. It has stripes, striations. It's multinucleate. So we can put that there. Striations. If you want to draw it for me, I always love drawing, so that's okay too. I'll take that. Okay, if you want to draw it for me, I'm just fine with that. Okay, for the test. Or you can write striations and multinucleate. All right, now look at this cell. Very different. Okay, how would you characterize that cell? Bigger or smaller? Smaller. Excellent. Does it have any striations on it? I think that's why they must call it what? Smooth, right? Because it doesn't have any stripes on it. You thought scientists were smart, but no, they go for the easy way, right? It's smooth because it's not striped, right? And how many nuclei does it have in it? One. Good. So it's uninucleate, it's small, and no striations. That's a smooth muscle cell. Okay, there's a smooth muscle cell. Okay, and last but not least, this one's a little bit different to draw. Oops, who are you thinking it is now that I'm starting to do that? You're thinking I'm drawing striations, so it must be who? Skeletal, right? Don't you start thinking, oh, she's drawing striations, right? But now watch me. Okay, I'm finished. It's uninucleate, right? One nucleus. Okay, good. So that's the starter. It's uninucleate. It's striated. But there's something else there as well that's very, very important that I'm going to draw on here. When you have one or more cardiac muscle cells, and I'm going to draw another one in a different color so you see what I'm talking about here. I'm going to draw another cell here. Here's its sister cell just nearby. Most important thing on cardiac muscle cells is how these two cells are combined. Nobody else has these. It's a dark staining band, and it's called an intercalated disc. And you won't find those on anybody else, okay? You won't find them on anybody else. An intercalated disc, okay? Intercalated disc. And that is a band that's in between the two cells, like a band. And actually, if you looked at it from a microscopic perception, it would look like this. The whole cell itself would be locked together. So the cardiac muscle cells can't work by themselves. They have to have an ability to hang on together, right? And hold on together. They are completely like interlatched that way, okay? All right, let's go. Do you remember that handout that I gave you the other day, and it had pictures of line drawings on it? And it said like pseudostratified. Do you remember that? It had like line drawings on it. Do you remember that handout? Did it have all the line drawings on it? You have a page that just has 2 pages of line drawings. Let's see if anybody has that one. Do you remember that one? Yes, that's it right there. Can you hold that really up high? You see that picture right there? Can everybody find that one for me? It has line drawings on it, like that. We got it on Wednesday night. See if I can find mine. Like, what do you want to say? Like this? Like this? Yours is bigger, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe you have a little one like this one. But I think for this one, yeah. You have this one. Good, that's the second page. Okay, good. So you have a page that looks like this, page 2. Yes? Awesome. Because now you have to answer the following question. You have J, K, and L. Is that right? At the bottom? Okay, good. I want you to use the words skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, or cardiac muscle for those 3 pictures. Can you do it? If you don't have it, I'll run you a copy of the break. So just look on somebody if you don't have it. I'll make sure you have a copy of the break. I'm not sure. The only one that's the only copy I have, but you just look at that for now. Okay, do you want to hear a good guess? What did you get for J?
Smooth.
Oh, you're so smart, because it doesn't have what?
Striations.
Striations. They're really kind of weird. Don't they look like little hairs, kind of like almost? They do. They do like little hairs. Okay? But this underneath the microscope, of course. Okay, what are you seeing on both K and L? Definitely seeing striations, okay? And probably not quite seeing that it's multinucleated or not multinucleated. So what's helping you distinguish the difference then?
Intercalated disc.
Are you seeing them here and here and here? Are you there? Cool, isn't it? So this must be what? Cardiac muscle, and this must be what? Skeletal. You're there. Is that awesome? But of course, it's not going to be it's not going to be a pencil drawing. So you have to be able to get a regular drawing, although the other students in 2404 don't have to. You're going to have to be able to work off of that, okay? So let's look at, back to where I was, 2401, 2401, there it is. And let's look at, here's a couple of pictures. We'll see if you've got them. Tell me what this one is. Look at this, is this cool? That's a brand new slide, I love it. Okay, never mind. All right, so look at this. If you can look at this, this one's going up and down like this. This is a cell. There's a cell there. Can you see these lines here?
Mm-hmm.
Good. What do you think those lines are? I think they're striations too. So do you think this is skeletal or cardiac?
Skeletal.
God, you guys are just too smart. All right, well, you got that one right. Okay, good. So let's go to another one. And it's in this one. Look at this one. This one's beautiful. So you think about this one. This one's going this way. The cells are going that way, the way I drew them. So can you see this distinctive thing right here? What are those? Intercalated disc. Good. Do you have to know that for the test? Let's look and see on our lab test review, because that's the what we have to look at. The lab test review says, when we get down to muscle tissue, it says you have to be able to identify skeletal muscle and also say if it's what or what. It's got what? What are those stripes called again?
Striations.
So I could ask you that, couldn't I? Okay, I could ask you that. So on this picture up there, number 8, one of the questions will say, name this tissue, and you say cardiac, and you always have to give me its last name.
Muscle.
Muscle, good, cardiac muscle, and if you say tissue, that's cool too. Cardiac muscle tissue or just cardiac muscle, okay? And then I also could put a pointer right here, just like that. Here or there. Name this structure. Now what do you say? Name the structure is intercalated disc. Are you good with that? We're good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then on skeletal muscle, the skeletal muscle picture I had up earlier, what are you going to say on that one? It's either name this tissue. It's not on this one. Oh, here's my little friend right here. So on that name that you remember the picture I showed you just a second ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
It did have stripes on it. So I could say name this tissue, and you would say this is skeletal muscle. If I say name the stripes, you say striations, right? Good. All right, now, number 3 up here, unfortunately, is a tissue that you probably, I just don't like this slide at all, because it really doesn't give you what the line drawing did. But this tissue is actually smooth muscle. Number 3 is smooth muscle. Looks like a lot of, like our friend to the left there, and we'll talk about him after the break. But that's smooth muscle on the right there. Maybe somebody can give me a better picture than that. That's not very good, is it? But that is definitely smooth muscle. Do you see any striations in it?
No.
That's the other thing that you need to know. It lacks striations, and it's smooth muscle. It almost looks multinucleated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you don't see the cells at all. The cells are very small. They have long, skinny nuclei in them, but there's a whole bunch of them here, so they're overlapping each other. It's like somebody just took a big cut of like uterus tissue or something, and they stuck it on a slide, so you just saw a bunch of cells together, and now you see a bunch of nuclei, and it doesn't give you that look of anything else. But we'll look at other ones, and we'll see it doesn't really look like much of anything else, and it'll begin to have its own ring. Okay? All right, so take a break on that. Is anybody, before you leave, who needed this?